de Silicone Mercado.
Beleza, galera? Hoje começando aqui mais uma live. Vamos ver novidades do Fórmula 1 Manager e a pré-ordem está disponível. Vamos lá. Vamos ver o que temos nessa bagaça. Esse é o primeiro de 3 eventos, hein?
Hello folks and welcome to the very first F1 Manager 23 stream. Good start already. My name's Steve James, Community Manager on the game, and I'm joined by Bruce Garrido for the very first time. How you doing, Bruce?
Hello Steve, I'm doing very well, thank you. Super excited to be here and to share everything that we've got for the brand new F1 Manager 23 release that's available for pre-order as of yesterday.
As of yesterday, yeah. We're here to celebrate that. We're here to show you a little bit of gameplay. We're going to give you a quick summary of what to expect today. We've got some shiny new graphics and stuff here, which is very exciting. So yeah, we're going to be taking a quick look at some gameplay. We're going to be using the new race replay mode. We're going to be explaining that a little bit more as we go into this as well. So we're going to be giving you a little bit of a deep dive into what that means. We're also going to be going through all of the pre-order details as well. I think we're going to start by getting into the gameplay trailer and bringing on some special dev guests.
Yes, very much looking forward to this one.
Vamos aproveitar agora o trailer,
there's a lot to share.
o primeiro trailer
Lots of gameplay
e
to run through,
também
so let's hop right into it.
já voltamos, só se quiser falar.
A sprint victory and points up for grabs right here.
Vou dizendo convidados, não preciso falar. Convidados.
Push as much as you can. Cubby. Can they push more, I wonder? They can't afford to sit back and relax now.
Vamos atrás do trailer, galera, porque o trailer é muita coisa.
Are we in trouble or not?
A chance to see just what Charles Leclerc can achieve here. Oh, and that's a crash!
Are there any opportunities in driving? Push and hold, overtake.
Lembrando, esse jogo não é para todo mundo, só para fãs de simulação.
And push now, maximum push now.
Do Futebol Manager,
with a great overtake.
Good one for the team.
E outros jogos de Manager que também tem.
A fantastic result for McLaren there. Stay right here, because we're just getting started.
Então, PS4, PS5, Steam e Xbox. Se vai ter Nintendo Switch, não sei se vai ter, porque não mostrou ali.
New gameplay trailer.
Looks fantastic.
So novo gameplay
I
trailer.
think, being unbiased, I think it looks
As a totally objective and separate observer, I'm a big fan. So yes, that's the gameplay trailer from the new game, and we're going to rattle off some details for you for anyone who's interested in the pre-order.
Falar com vocês alguns detalhes.
Get their hands on this.
Sobre
yeah,
Steam.
I'm going to have to read it off here because it is a lot. So you can pre-order now. Pre-order is available now as of yesterday, like we said. The game will be launching digitally from July 31st across PC, PlayStation and Xbox. If you pre-order, you get 3 extra race replay scenarios, which we'll be getting into in a little bit. The regular edition is £44.99 pounds, and the digital deluxe edition is £54.99 pounds.
Ok, a versão básica vai incluir alguns itens, mas a versão especial é deluxe. Vai ter
discussion about later as well, so worth sticking around to find out what they
corridas especiais de corridas de momentos de corridas diferentes
e
não tem na versão básica.
We'll start showing some gameplay. How about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, welcome. We have both Lloyd and Will now joining us on the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Look at the colours of all of our shirts. Doesn't that look lovely? There's a nice little blend of colours across there. Yeah, this is nice. I'm liking the look of this already. Hello, guys. How are you doing?
Yeah, really good, thank you. Yeah, really excited to be here and share more about the game.
Awesome. All right, we're going to load this up straight away. So we're going to get into our starting grid gameplay here. So can you guys give us a little rundown of what race replay is, and particularly starting grid, as we're going to show that first?
Yeah. So race replay is a brand new mode for F1 Manager 23 that allows players to play alongside kind of the real races that you've been seeing in the season. So starting grid specifically lets you play from the start of the race as any of the teams on the grid, starting from the real starting positions that they would have started at in the Grand Prix with the the tyre allocations they had, all that sort of thing as well, and then play through the race and see if you can match or better the result that the team got in real life. Yeah, and it like the weather and things like that as well all match the real.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So for this one, this is my gameplay footage. I foolishly thought that I would be able to beat the real result. So we're going to be jumping into this is going to be the Miami gameplay. This is Miami 2023. I've chosen Ferrari, and we're going to get into that now. And, yeah, you'll see how that goes. I'm interested to see if chat can predict how I do in this. This was my first time playing the game. This was my first time playing the game since I've played 2022. So yeah, this is me jumping in and kind of having a look.
Tem umas pequenas mudanças já no menu que eu vi ali.
So far, we're going to be adding new race replays to the game following every race weekend. So this will be updated, as you can see. So this is where we are right now, obviously on this particular build.
De replays tá na tela aí, ó.
So we do have a couple of options in the race mode and the starting grid, but for now we're going to play the starting grid. Yeah, we've got 57 laps to try and prove ourselves better than an actual F1 team.
volta
Ferrari,
pra gente mostrar.
They were, I chose this one because I don't know if you guys watched the race, but there was a bit of a battle between Alpine and Ferrari for this one for a while. So I thought, you know what? I can gap an Alpine and a Ferrari. I can do the strategy here that makes sure that Alpine aren't behind me.
Well, those are bold words. We'll see if
they are bold words.
You've got the skills to back them up.
And like I said, I'm interested to see if chat can predict basically whether I'm going to have done this any good or not.
So the starting grid is about to start. While that loads up, I want to ask, what was the inspiration or idea behind adding this whole new mode? Was it that you wanted to explore different ways to enjoy and play F1? I know partly it's about tying the gameplay to the real season as well. Was that something you wanted to achieve with this?
Yeah, so essentially, we've heard obviously community feedback in various areas of the game. One of the key things was that we wanted to allow people to jump straight into the action. You know, with these particular race grids here, you can choose any team. You can choose any team you want for that circuit.
Corrida,
get straight into the action.
Uma parada, duas paradas.
It also means that you can have that sort of the close match with the real world. And the races that are occurring each. Well, not each weekend, but you know, on race weekends.
Sure.
And so I think that what this gives you is that nice connection between
Uma, duas, três paradas, vamos ver como vai usar aqui.
As it happens, basically.
Definitely.
And it gives you a chance to, you know, prove to your mates that you can do better than the team principles.
Or not, as we may find out as this goes through. Do you know what? I'm probably being a bit harsh on myself. I don't think I did that badly here, but you can see me here. I'm selecting strategies. So you don't start with strategies. It's your choice for the strategy for this. So starting grid just gives you where those drivers qualified, and it gives you track conditions and that kind of thing. So it's up to you to decide your own strategy. Whether you do decide to do start on the tyres that they really do start on there. But I set up for 2 mediums were here, but I did extend Carlos's stint a little bit, so he's running a little bit longer on his mediums because he's a little bit higher up the grid. So I thought, let's try and keep Sainz on the podium. Do I do it? I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see as we get into this. But off we go. We're going to be showing a couple of other things here as well. We're going to be talking about some new features and stuff whilst this plays, because we're going to be seeing some new stuff here. I am very, very keen on something that people may have seen in the trailer, which is the visor cam. I'm obsessed with this. I had to keep turning it off because I would watch an entire race in visor cam, just as I would in an F1 in real life. Like if I had the ability to click through all the driver cams, which I think you can on F1 TV, but I don't have that ability. So I would love to watch every single race from visor cam. I think that's a really, really cool thing. So we're going to see that in a minute as well, because I think I obsessively switch back and forth between that when things get exciting.
It does look incredible. I'm a big fan of the visor cam as well.
Yeah, the team have done a really, really good job on that. It's one of those things that, as fans of F1, we thought, well, as soon as we saw it, we knew we had to have this, right? This is, this really cool thing to have in, and each of the teams, each of the drivers actually has obviously different visors.
Yeah, I noticed that when I was switching through. Yeah, because I'm guessing that's based on the real life fact that they use different visors, and there's also there's different ones for. I know in real life they change them based on where the sun is and all of that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And it kind of recreates that same feeling of drivers having their own personal choice, which is really cool. Yeah, I'm obsessed with that. Completely obsessed.
I got the opportunity to peek over Steve's shoulder while he was playing as well, and I noticed that the Details on the steering wheel as well, things like the gears and the speeds are all updating in real time as well, according to the driver and what they're doing. So really nice attention to detail there that I greatly enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. And what actually is really cool about that is when you have, for example, a night circuit especially, if you're in visor cam, you get the reflections from the rev counter on the steering wheel. That's, you know, it just reflects into the visor as you know, it's not quite fully clean, you know. There's just nice little details like that that really make it look authentic and really get you into the action.
Amazing. Yeah, it's really cool. So already here we can see that I'm like what 1.4 seconds behind Alonso there. So I'm pretty good. Look again, Alpine behind. Already I thought, yeah, I'll be fine. I'll just start better, and then I won't have Alpines battling for my position. Unfortunately, I already do have Gasly on my tail. But yeah, we've just got it coming back here. Got a bit here. We're already in the DRS zones now as well, so whether I'll have any success, we'll see. But I'm burning the tyres, so the tyre temperature is something that we've worked on for 2023, isn't it, Lloyd? So here I'm basically taking my own risk of just being like, yep, push it, burn the tyres as much as possible. But can you give us a little bit of info on sort of how tyre management is going to be looking for 23?
Yeah, so as you say, currently you're pushing quite a bit on these
pneus vai ser muito mais difícil
in this game.
Nesse jogo.
You've got to really pay attention to the tyre temperature.
Tem que tomar mais cuidado e ter muita atenção.
The carcass and the surface temperature. And
Na
if you keep
temperatura.
pushing, especially on hot tracks, you're going to find that they'll overheat fairly quickly, depending on. There you go.
I love it. I love it so much. Sorry.
Depending on the compound used, obviously, different compounds react differently to different circuits, and even then you've got the compounds change themselves.
Diferentes pistas totalmente diferentes. Cada pista é diferente, uma freada e outra coisa, uma da outra, né, também. O manejo dos pneus também diferentes também, cada pista ele falou também.
Obviously, if you're on fresh set of tyres, they're not going to be as warmed up and bedded in as a set that's been running for a few laps. And obviously, we'll communicate back to you how your tyres are doing. You can see there on the command panels. You've got the temperatures rising, and they'll start to go red once they reach that temperature zone that's a little bit too warm. And you know, it all ties in together with all the other systems as well. So very lots of things you can really put into this. And I mean, Will, you've worked very closely on this, right?
Yeah, I think it's actually quite a good example right now of where you're pushing on with Sainz and with Leclerc, but Leclerc's tyres are hotter than Sainz, as you saw. Like they went red a minute ago because they were starting to overheat. Is because we're taking into account things like dirty air as well. So for Sainz, he's got a decent gap in front of him, so he's not getting much dirty air off Alonso ahead. Whereas Leclerc, who's in the pack right behind Magnussen, that's affecting his tyres as well. So you have to think about that. Maybe, you know, if you're not pushing to overtake, then maybe you need to conserve a bit more, because you'll start to overheat the tyres potentially, and then obviously the tyres will
Dependendo
degrade
do jeito
faster
de
in your
pilotar,
lap.
você vai ter que tomar
If you're not keeping tabs on that
decisão
stuff.
de conservar pneu ou não conservar
I could
pneu.
have known with knowing that before I recorded this, because I do get through the tyres quite. I don't want to spoil anything, but I'm not very good at managing tyres.
You're going to burn through them, aren't you?
I am, yeah. And a couple of people have pointed out in chat here, we've got a brand new map for this as well. So when you, if you've not played F1 Manager before, something that helps you get through, you know, even though we've got this new faster game mode where you can jump in and just do a race and you're not committed to a career, you can still speed up the progress. You can speed it right up to 16 times, and like we're doing here, we're at 8 times. Brand new map. We've made this look, you know, it's got the greenery on it. It's a little bit more realistic. Yep. We've got that beautiful, very realistic marina at Miami that we are recreating. In fact, it's basically the same image, isn't it? It's effectively the same as it is in real life there. But yeah, we've got this new map, which I think helps you kind of just see where you are a little bit better on the track, right? Like it helps you position. It's certainly helped me position for where safety cars were and where the safety car was coming out.
So actually there's a few things you might not have realised have gone into this as well. So we've made some little tweaks to the 3D map, not only visually, which is really obvious, but when you're following your drivers around the circuit, we've made sure that those will appear on top of the other drivers so they won't get lost in the pack.
Okay.
If you're focusing on a particular one, that's going to appear slightly differently as well. Any cars that retire are no longer visible in the pits because obviously they're not moving, so you don't really need to see them. There's lots of little things like that have gone into these. So initially on the surface, they look like new visuals, but there's lots of other things that have gone into this to make it better for you, better user experience.
Yeah, all those little changes I think make a nice, and like you said, like that was something that
Os
I
pilotos
hadn't even
estão
noticed when I
mandando
was playing it the first time.
com bandeira amarela.
Yeah, it made it
E aí
it made
vocês
it so much clearer
poderão
for me when, you know,
ter talvez
especially
alguma
around the safety
melhoria.
car and stuff, just made it so much easier
Vai
to
ter
plot out
melhoria
where
nisso
I
aí
should be
também.
and that kind of thing. But yeah, we're going through Miami here. An overcast Miami, I will say. There's no rain prediction really. We've got a loose prediction of a 5% chance of rain, but a bit of an overcast Miami. Sainz is now just in a little world of his own with Russell behind him. Leclerc obviously having a bit of the same thing with Kevin Magnussen as well, which I think we'll see that battle heat up at some point. But Russell absolutely intent on getting past me, so we're keeping the pace up a little bit, even though the tyres are a little bit burnt.
So going into this, what strategy did you want to put into it that was going to be different from the standard strategy that was used by Ferrari before?
That's a very brave question.
Did you make so you made? I saw at the beginning you were playing around with the pitting strategy. Did you change the lap or?
I did, yeah. So what I did was effectively. So what you can do within the game is effectively choose how long your stint is going to be. So I left Leclerc on the. There we go. Leclerc and Magnussen are battling back and forth there now whilst we speed it up. But I left Leclerc on the basic, you know, the stint it recommended for. We give you like 3 presets, and I left it on the basic A preset for that. But because Sainz was a little bit up the order, I didn't want to risk him pitting too soon and losing that podium track position. So I thought, yeah, we'll leave Sainz out for a little bit longer. This is a tight street circuit, as many F1 people know, that a tight street circuit with 20 cars going around it is going to be quite an interesting thing, especially when there's 57 laps. So whether we do all of those laps and my pit strategy works out or not is a different matter, which I think we'll find out fairly shortly. But yeah, for the time being, this strategy is working. This is what I wanted. You know, the gaps aren't too bad.
Não sabemos se a nossa estratégia vai funcionar.
Perez is leading.
Vai depender
you'll see
muito
Verstappen has flown up so
da forma de
many
você jogar.
places. He's got the fastest lap.
As he's often wants to do.
Yes, that seems to be the trend for 2023 so far, doesn't it? And yeah, that seems to be what's happening here as well. Somebody said, any mouse support for PS5, gents? Mr. Rich, yes, we have mouse and keyboard support for consoles. That is something that has been added.
Ele também falou também que vai ter mouse e teclado na versão de PS4 e
I think we actually
PS5.
got a lot of feedback that the controls for the
Quem não joga no
consoles were actually
controle.
really well received. You know, there was a lot of people that were quite pleased with those controls, but a lot of people prefer a mouse and keyboard. I'm a mouse and keyboard person. I'm a PC gamer. So yeah, absolutely. We now have the ability to control it with a keyboard and mouse on your console. Will there be mid-session saves? Yes, there will be mid-session saves. Yes, there will. You can, again, I think part of the ability to just make it a bit more jumping out, right? That was another piece of community feedback we got. You know, you might be halfway through a practice session and I don't know, maybe you really want a packet of crisps and pausing it isn't enough and you want to sit and have a packet of crisps and not play the game for a while, and then you can do that and you can jump back in. Yeah, and I think that's really nice. And visor cam, I know, I just every time visor cam comes back up, I have to keep looking back at the screen because I just really like it. We've already lost position here to Verstappen. I think it's fair to say that Verstappen is not in the same battle as us in this race. Or potentially any in my career as a team principal at this rate. But yeah, we're pushing those tyres again because, quite frankly, I cannot handle the fact that I am battling this Alpine. I want to be ahead of this Alpine, and it's not happening. So.
While we have a moment and we're watching you, battle it out and slowly but surely lose places.
Thanks, Bruce. You can play next time.
So far. I would like to take advantage of, especially Lloyd, your expertise and knowledge on the series. For anyone who's joining us on Twitch and hasn't played the previous version of the game, could you just give us a little overview of what F1 Manager is about, what role the player takes on, and the kinds of things they will manage and do for their teams?
Yeah, so it's obviously included in the name. It's a management title, so you essentially take on the role of the team principal for a Formula One team. You can take that role for any of the real-world Formula One teams for the 2023 season. And you can basically play through on all of the 2023 circuits, and you can manage the team both on and off the circuit. So obviously we're looking at on-circuit action at the moment in currently in a separate mode, but when you're in Korean mode, for example, you will manage that team from start to finish, and you can essentially take on not only the circuit stuff but also back at the HQ, things like car development, driver development, even things like your you can manage what the pit crew do in the morning and the afternoon, and that's something we've added in this one. And yeah, it's just, you know, making sure that we've got everything as real as possible and giving you the details you want, right?
Sure. Yeah. No, you really can get down into the, I don't want to call them minutiae, but all of the details and really every element of managing a team. I'm actually keen to ask you about the development of car parts in particular, because I know that's changed somewhat for this season as well. What can you tell me about that, which is new?
So the car part development, not only have we made it a little bit more accessible in terms of how you utilise it.
Desenvolvimento de carro, colocamos mais acessibilidade para você poder fazer desenvolvimento do carro.
Developing parts based on their durability. So you've got various options available to you for that. So you can essentially set it to be more durable.
Ali no menu vocês vão ver várias opções.
Lower performance.
Acessibilidade para todo tipo de equipe que estiver fazendo.
And what that also means is it's less likely to fail on parts inspection. So we have a system that after the races they'll come along and inspect your parts, and if they're not quite up to scratch, there's a chance they'll fail.
E muito mais.
To go away and either, if you haven't, build new ones, you know, but have them.
Se uma peça falha, você vai ter que
or just fit them if you've got them available. Smart
mandar fazer ela de novo.
Smart team principals will have already
essa é uma porcaria essa parte.
Parts and have plenty of stock available, and so they'll be able to just switch them out. Or in some cases, you know, you might use that as a chance to research something new for the future. You know, make it a little bit more durable if you don't want to keep running into that same problem. And yeah, it just means you've got a little bit more to think about.
Sure, just an extra consideration to bear in mind when you're developing. All right.
So, as you guys were talking about that, the astute viewers among you may have noticed that my pit stop with Leclerc there has happened. That's why Leclerc is now dropped to 13th. We're on a nice set of hard tyres, which are coming up to temperature, as you can see. What a beautiful segue, previous me. Thank you so much. So those tyres are a little bit cold right now. I'm pushing to heat them up a little bit. That's my strategy anyway. I hope it works. However, there was something that popped up there that I wanted to touch on a little bit. When we came into the pit stop, it popped up at the end of my pit stop and it said fastest pit stop, 10th, and then popped up to second, telling me that I had the second fastest pit stop. Can you allude a little bit as to what that might mean, Lloyd?
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously you can read into that.
Yeah,
right.
We've implemented, so obviously there's an extra bit of incentive there to keep training your pit crew to the right level.
Tem que treinar a tua equipe de pit stop até o nível mais alto.
Okay.
You know, if you want to do that, that's fine. You know, you might be able to get that award.
There's a bit of extra, there's a bit of extra reward on the line for that, isn't there?
Lembrando, traduzindo alguma coisa, não tudo.
But then every so often they might struggle to get a wheel off.
Yes.
So it's, you know, a bit of a balance there. So, you know, there's been certain times.
São os pontos mais importantes.
Right, hit the gym, you know, the full month, and then by the time it gets to a race day, they're just absolutely exhausted. But you can do that if you really want to.
This is it, yeah. So this leans into our the new kind of key staff member for 2023, the sporting director. So yeah, we now have the sporting director role in the game, which is effectively responsible for. It's a bit of a. It sounds like a very broad role, doesn't it? But they are responsible for kind of all the trackside operations at the race weekend. So your sporting director is going to be responsible effectively for preparing your pit crew and sorting out their training. So we're going to have a deeper system for training regimes for pit crew in the game this time on a monthly basis, where you can go in. I mean, you can customize it. You can have a balanced approach, similar to how we've got with the driver development. There's a similar thing where you can focus your pit crew on various areas, like you said. And yeah, if they're they're too tired and you burn them out, then they're going to be, you know, more likely to make a mistake or be slow. And you're actually going to see those mistakes pan out, and that's going to affect your chances of a fastest pit stop.
Vários erros.
Yeah, it's a balancing act, right? So obviously, pit stop, pit crew development itself is nothing new. It's something we've done in the game before. But
o coisa do pit stop não é nada novo, já está no jogo anterior.
It's just adding in all
Mas
those
só fazer uma
you've
melhoria.
got to think about, because as we've said, you can have things like pit stop mistakes. There's quite a variety of those that can go wrong as well.
Yeah.
It's not just a case of the wheels coming off. You can also mess up in other ways. But yeah, it is just sort of tying it all together, and the new staff member also ties into that, because they've got their own development stats as well and development processes, which also tie into it quite closely.
So here's me setting up my next pit stop. I ignored our engineer saying that we were in the pit window, just so I could set it up myself for the next lap. I kind of wanted to hold out to see if I could gamble on a safety car, but we're on lap 25. My tyres are at 43%. They could still go a little bit longer, but at this point I was thinking, can I hold this position for longer, or is everyone else going to pit around me and am I going to be in trouble? So I think actually my pit stop with signs ended up being pretty good, but we're going to get to that here. You can see me speeding through these options here a little bit just to see where we are. Here we go. Okay, I'm in the pit. And we'll see how this pans out for me. I think this ends up being okay, because you can see behind it, 18 seconds behind me, so I think I only lose the position to Alonso briefly there. There we go, look, a 2-second pit stop.
2 segundos de stopping.
I think fairly fast.
Yeah, 2 seconds, that's pretty quick.
Yeah, I'd say that. There you go, look, so we were previously 18th because we hadn't actually done one. 6th there, that was the 6th fastest stop.
Is that acceptable, Mr. Team Principal?
Do you know what? We'll see. We'll see. We are checking, I think, is the official Ferrari response. Yeah, there we go. Straight back out, pushing the tyres again. I want to get those heated up a little bit. We'll see if that actually does anything for me.
Tanto no Fórmula 1 GT3 como no Fórmula 1 Manager.
I'm chasing down a very not aggressive Alonso, but what a world Alonso is in right now. I'm a big fan of the underdog. I've always said this with Formula 1. I don't particularly support any driver.
Lembrando que são 3 lives que eles vão fazer, né, durante a semana.
To win.
E na outra.
There's a lot of people
E
that
na
are winning
outra.
F1,
Uma
I know,
por semana.
I like the idea of the person that's kind of, you know, biting at the heels of the winners. And I'm really excited for Alonso to potentially be that person. I think that's very, very cool. And he is in this race, you know, he's right there, ready to go. As you can see here as well, I'm looking at our driver confidence, which is a lovely little segue. This is something that we'll be touching on a little bit more in the race moment that we show a little bit later. But driver confidence is a new addition. We've got a safety car as well. I knew this would happen. This is why I thought I'd wait. And then 2 laps later, I think it's not even 2 laps later, the safety car happens.
Do piloto
whilst this safety car plays out, can we have a little info on what driver confidence is and how that works for 2023?
Vai poder andar mais rápido ou mais lento.
This is a new feature for 2023 in all your races. It will ebb and flow throughout the race, and depending on what happens, you know, getting an overtake will boost your driver's confidence. Being overtaken, you know, obviously will reduce it. And
Sobre o racing moments,
as well.
Esses melhores momentos da corrida.
Like if you're successfully defending from someone, that's going to boost their confidence as well. Build
E sendo enganado, vai ser igual o Fórmula 1
as we saw in that
3 e 22,
it ties into the practice sessions as well.
Os melhores momentos da corrida.
Their base confidence for the weekend, how well you've set the car up, whether they got acclimatized to the circuit.
Eu não vi aqui ainda, galera. Só estou traduzindo o que ele falou.
And then it'll build through qualifying and the race. The outcome of it will kind of affect how well the driver performs. If they're really confident, they're going to perform effectively like being in form, right? They're going to do really well, kind of like Alonso has been this year, right?
Yeah.
So it's very confident. Or obviously the other way, they could underperform. It also affects the chance of incidents as well. So drivers who are feeling really confident, they're less likely to make mistakes, less likely to have crashes, and again, conversely, if they're not very confident, they'll make more, or potentially make more. And it ties in as well with some of the new tactics we've added as well, which live in that same menu you're looking at a minute ago, around kind of overtaking and defending. And these kind of, I think we quite often describe them as quite kind of like risk management. So yeah, you can tell the driver to be more aggressive overtakes, which means they're more likely to get the job done. Also, you're increasing that risk that they're going to have a collision with the other car, and the same with when they're defending as well. Or you can
ou defenderem.
Conversely, tell them to be less risky. They're more likely to get past.
Menos arriscado ou mais arriscado.
They're being a bit safer there.
Vai depender
with the confidence
pilotagem.
In the obviously, if you've got a driver who's really confident, you can kind of take more risks because they're feeling
De
confident.
manager,
They're less
claro.
likely to make mistakes.
Isso como manager.
So you can take more risks, which means they're going to build more confidence, and then you get an interesting.
Se tiver mais riscos é porque
on the
você tem
other
muita
side, where if
confiança em
you've got a driver who's
ganhar.
not very confident. You want them to make passes to rebuild that confidence or to build some confidence and to to push to go quicker, but that's a risk, right? Because they're not feeling confident. So if you're telling them to take risks, they're more likely to make mistakes. But so yeah, there's a bit of risk reward there, and how you manage those situations and what you I guess that's the principle, right? Fear is the right way to do that. Do you be conservative? Maybe put them on some fresh tyres so they can go out and set some better laps to build it that way, or yeah, go aggressive, take the risk. Which obviously potentially has a bigger reward as well.
Lembre-se que tem limite de jogos, galera. No final de semana.
Então, they're kind of less likely to be unconfident and things like that. So some of your
gastar todo o
team
teu jogo de
management
pneu
before the races will play
médio, duro e macio.
Yeah, the states of how drivers react to things. So
I really love this. It feels like it adds a new angle of management in terms of understanding, to an extent, the psychology of your drivers.
Yeah.
Which is really nice to be able to simulate that.
So
you might start making decisions like, if I want to build up my second driver, I'm going to give them more time. I'm going to build up that confidence. And yeah, like you say, right down to the
sobre o segundo piloto também.
Not just based on how confident they are. That's a really nice level of
ou o primeiro piloto também. Vamos falar sobre isso. Quem vai ser o primeiro piloto, quem é o segundo.
In the previous game, you see them on the radio all the time in the races and stuff. But they play into the confidence too, because they're a really big part in real life of the driver's kind of mindset and managing that, and helping the driver, giving them the information they need,
da vida real.
And sometimes when they don't need information, right, you might distract them, that sort of thing. So yeah, the engineer affects that. The relationship between the driver and the engineer, their affinity, which again was in the last game as well, but that plays into the kind of the confidence that you see in the game. So if they've got a good relationship, they'll trend towards better confidence. And there's also a new one of the performance attributes that the engineers have now called composure, which affects those fluctuations as well. So if you've got a really good engineer, your driver's going to get kind of more boosts from good events and kind of they'll kind of soften the blows of negative ones when they're conversing with the driver. And then the other way as well, if you've not got a great engineer, it affects it too. So yeah, we wanted to highlight that relationship as well, because it's such an important one in real life.
Yeah, I think that's really important. That is something that I think, especially in the last couple of years, has been highlighted even further by, with the way F1 push team radios and stuff like that now. Having that, you often see, drivers building up huge bonds with their engineers over time, and to have something that reflects that a little bit within the game, I think is really, really cool. And yeah, like you said, it kind of lets you get into that kind of the psychology of how people are thinking. And again, I lean heavily on the driver confidence system in, and here we are absolutely beefing it here with the Aston Martin. I knew this would happen. They were too close to me to begin with. So just to save a bit of time here, because these streams always run over, I changed my front wing. I had to change my front wing after that crash. And I also put on a pair of soft tyres just to try and wing it for 20 laps. I thought, yeah, fine. So we've got a pair of worn softs on as well, most importantly. So they're 74% worn already. And yeah, we'll see how this goes. And then there's also been a safety car on the restart, because I can't remember who it was, but somebody, as Leclerc says, "Mamma mia!" there was an accident on the restart. That first corner, which is again something right? They've got a bit more first corner action coming for the game.
Yeah, so the way that's been implemented is essentially the cars will now use a lot more of the track width. So you'll see them pushing a little bit more over the curbs. They'll be able to, have more battles through corners and things. And alongside that, obviously, there's a chance there'll be a bit of wheel-to-wheel contact in the corners. And obviously, the time you most see that is on the first corner.
Yeah.
Not necessarily at every circuit, but there's some circuits that are especially bad for it.
Yeah.
As I'm sure we're all aware.
Yeah, and yeah, like, we're on a tight street circuit here. I'm not surprised there was a bit of chaos on the restart. Maybe those Aston Martins are a little bit too confident. Maybe their driver confidence got a little bit too high. They got a bit too cocky, maybe. But we've seen them both now out, which has put me in a really nice position here. I don't deserve to be in this position at all. I've been fed this P3 and P5 currently. But the safety car has got everybody back up after the Aston Martin accident, and yeah, DRS is back. Okay. We're in the final 16 laps here. I can't even remember what my final positions were in this, you know.
I was going to say, your confidence must be pretty high at the moment.
It is, but I remember that I did this myself, and I've got a feeling that I don't end where I am right now, but we'll see how it goes. Again, those soft tyres are, you know, I'm not being afraid to push them, and I do have damage on Leclerc's car from the crash with the Aston Martin, and I could only repair the front wing, of course. So, yeah. Obviously,
tem dano no carro do Leclerc, mas você pode só reparar o bico.
I'm a little bit concerned that there might be a bit more damage to the car, so I've told him to avoid any high-risk curbs just to try and chill things out a little bit.
Mandou ele tomar cuidado
There's a
nas
little bit of
curvas.
damage there that we're going to have to look at, and that is kind of a nice inadvertent segue into the idea of aerodynamic parts and durability. Can we shed a little bit of light on that area that we've looked at?
Yeah, so obviously in this one here you've got these parts that you need to replace, and if essentially you, as I said earlier, you balance it right based on what you want. Do you want the performance or do you want the durability? Now, in some cases, you might want to develop both, and you can do that. If you want to, you know, fit some parts to your car that are high performance but maybe a bit less durable, you can do that. Try it out for a few races, see how it goes. It might not work in your favour, and obviously then you've got the backups. Smart management will come into it. The part management is obviously very important for the cars during the weekend.
When might you be incentivised to focus more on durability than performance, say? Would that be relative to managing things like your cost cap, or...?
Yeah, basically. Obviously, if you're struggling with money, you're not going to have all the budget to keep developing parts and then upgrading your manufacturing facilities in order to build those parts. So you might want to sort of pull back a little bit and go, well, I'll make them more durable. I'll focus on developing other areas, so whether that be upgrading things like your racing simulator.
Ele falou que ele foca na habilidade,
let's not forget you can also do research for
melhorar as áreas que ele está trabalhando no carro dele.
Durable parts for this season, get to the end of the season, you know, do as well as you can, and then next season, you know, develop for the future, like Haas did a few years ago.
Sure.
So, you know,
Ele falou que ele
also take that approach.
faz melhoria no melhor que ele pode nessa temporada.
As well, right? So kind of rebalance that
Até
a
onde
little
ele
bit.
quer, e depois ele vai focando no resto do ano para o ano que vem, nos últimos 6 meses, mais ou menos.
Because obviously there's still, I will say as well, there's still balancing ongoing.
As always,
work in progress.
We've got a little work in progress.
Yeah, so that has been rebalanced to make it more.
Eu botei como exemplo, nos últimos 6 meses.
It's not going to be a case of just throwing money at absolutely everything and seeing what sticks. You just have to be very careful with it. And I've noticed this myself in my playthroughs. I essentially had to be very careful with which parts I was developing.
Ele falou que nos playthroughs dele
have pushed it a little bit too far.
Yes.
You know, that's the risk you take, right?
Yeah, it is, exactly. And again, I think all of these little things will add up to make it a bigger challenge, right? That's the dream, is that we want it to be a bit more of a challenge for people as well. I certainly have noticed that I am not as good as this game as I was last year. That might just be me. I am very much send it and see what happens kind of person. And that works really well for our last streams, because it was always a case of me just being like, yeah, we'll just wait for a safety car and we'll see what happens. And that's always works quite well, but so far not working.
Well, what you've just said there actually touches quite nicely on some comments I saw a few minutes ago, talking about difficulty compared to last season's game. So what were your thoughts on that going into developing this game?
So obviously community feedback is something that we do read
Eu vou ativar a legenda em todos os nossos eventos da Summer Game Fest e também desse aqui, para vocês poderem
across the board made different changes.
Vocês mesmos.
So first of all, it is the cost cap one. That is something that we needed to adjust slightly, but it's also how the other teams make progress as well. So there's various bits that go into this, including other teams developing their cars in certain ways, and also on track. So that's something that will basically end up with more battles, essentially. The AI teams can now push much harder. They're a lot smarter in terms of the strategies they choose. They don't necessarily just choose a strategy and stick to it. They will react to ongoing track action, and they're constantly hunting for the best pit stop strategy as well. So it's not just a case of them giving you better battles with things like ERS, DRS, and the pushing their tyres, for example. But it's also how they handle the on-track action and react to it in their overall strategies as a team.
Sure.
It's not just a case of them going out and racing around the circuit. They will give you a battle, and I've found this myself in my playthroughs. I've come across certain teams where I've gone, I can't quite beat them. I just don't have the car for it.
Yeah, and I'm here struggling on these tyres because I've made my bed and I'm now lying in it. I have you can see Sainz's tyres are absolutely red hot. We've had the safety cars, we've had the restarts and stuff, so I have I'm down to, look, I've got like 7 kilograms of fuel left here, so we're burning as much fuel as possible. We're pedalled to the floor. We're not Lyco at all. Sorry, we're not lifting and coasting. I'm copying engineers. Look at me. I think I'm an engineer and a team principal. Leclerc's tyres are on the absolute limit here as well. We've got a couple of laps left, so I just thought, let's just go for it. Let's just see what happens. Maybe somebody else will have a mistake and we can capitalise on it. But I think we're pretty much set on how I ended up finishing this race, which honestly isn't so bad. I can't. It was. I can't remember the exact specifics of where they finished in the real race, but with race replay, you'll have a summary page at the end that shows, your points versus the real result, right?
Yes. So yeah, you'll see your position compared to where that driver finished in real life, and then as you say, the points that each driver scored and the points that you as a principal scored. You can see it in the race as well, so the tick in the top right, the objective, showing that you are currently beating what Ferrari achieved in real life. Yeah, I think 5th and 7th from memory is where they finished. I feel like something like that. So you'll get a summary of that after the race when it finishes in the race replay mode, and yeah, you can track it. You can track it in more detail from the page if you want to remind yourself.
Yeah. What result would you be happy with?
I would, to be honest. That's kind of how I look at it. That's me personally, anyway. I went into this thinking I could beat the Alpines. As you can see, I am not beating the Alpines on the last lap here. It's been a bit of a battle with them, and a bit of a battle with the Haas as well. I came into this again. You kind of come in. I haven't personally done anything to nurture these drivers or this team. I've just jumped in as it is, and yeah, I'm okay with the result. I didn't DNF. A lot of people did, and I didn't. So I was happy that I managed to survive. Especially managed to get a car out of the accident that we had with the Aston Martin. I was quite pleased to walk away from that fairly unscathed, and still have both cars in, because that's what it's all about, is keeping those points, right?
Yes, we're coming to the last lap now, and you've got that gap. So.
Yeah, I think we end up settling about here. Actually, I think this is it. This is why I'm like,
wait,
yeah, okay.
Did you just? No, I was imagining that you didn't lose a place for Leclerc on the last lap, did you?
No, I don't think so. I think I finished 7th. Yeah, it's incredibly close. Yeah. It's nerve-wrackingly close. It's very much. This is why I end up doing the last couple of laps on 2 times speed, because I'm just like, no, let's just get it done. I just need to. Nothing will happen if I press 2 times, right? Even though I know full well it's going to give me less time to react to something, and I stopped paying attention to the intervals. But yeah, there we go. Over the line. Yeah, we'll leave the fact that we've got a 4th and a 7th there, which, again, I think it's okay. Like I said, you'll have a proper summary page on this. I think I skipped through this, but there will be a proper summary page, like we said, where you'll get your points and all of that kind of thing for the actual race, the race moment, the race replay. Sorry.
I know there are going to be starting grids where you finish and all you've done is reverse the position of your own team.
Yeah, that's almost certainly going to happen. Do you know what though? Considering some of the streams that I've done with F1 Manager 22, having both drivers in the top 10 is actually a fairly good result for anyone that's watched these streams before. Yeah, we've done a good job there. But we're going to dive into a race moment next. We'll take a quick break in a minute, where we're going to show you our first new video actually in a feature focus series. So if you followed the previous game, and if you haven't followed the previous game, we have a series called Feature Focus, where we take a little bit of a closer look at some of the features that are coming to the new game. And when this finishes, we'll wrap up that feature focus for you to have a quick look at
as novas funções que vão vir no novo jogo. Se você não acompanhou o que teve no primeiro jogo, espero você ver que vai vir no novo jogo, vai ser coisa muito boa. Vamos acompanhar o trailer de novo. jogo
Manager 23
anterior.
brings you a whole new way to experience the official 2023 season with Race Replay. Race Replay is a brand new mode for F1 Manager 23, giving you 2 new, faster ways to prove yourself.
Race Replay é para você...
Starting Grid gives you the chance to rewrite races from the real 2023 F1 season. Choose any team and take on the starting grid and track conditions from a real race to see if you have what it takes to alter history. Make your own pit strategies and manage your drivers, tactics and tyres throughout the race in a bid for a better outcome for the team.
E você vai ter que...
Dive into the action quickly with race moments. Team-based scenarios built around real-life mid-race moments that a team has faced during the current season. Take charge of McLaren after a hectic 29 laps at Albert Park and see if you can lead Oscar Piastri to a points finish at his home race. Or join Alpine at the Miami Grand Prix and fight to keep the Ferraris behind by choosing the perfect time for your pit stops. With new starting grids and curated race moments being added to the game following every race weekend, Race Replay is your opportunity to get closer to the action than ever before and prove that no challenge is too tough. F1 Manager 23.
Esse modo aí. Só pra quem comprar a versão mais cara, hein? Vai ter esse modo. Xbox, Epic Games e PlayStation.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. This is the very first live stream celebrating pre-orders for F1 Manager 23. We are your hosts, Bruce and Steve, from the community team over at Frontier. And as I just mentioned, F1 Manager 23, now available for pre-order. If you are just joining us, I'm going to rattle through some of the details about how you can get your hands on this game. So yes, available now. If you pre-order, then you'll get 3 extra race replays, and we've just shown one of the sub-modes within the race replay mode, which is the starting grid. Before we hop on to the next one, there's some extra details. So if you buy the regular edition, that will cost you £45, $55 or €55. And there's also a deluxe edition, which is £55, $65 and €65, and also has some extra goodies, including a head start of 4 days.
That's
if
correct.
you want to get into the action a little bit earlier than the 31st
olha só.
Perfect.
A diferença de comprar a versão básica e a boladona é que você vai poder jogar 4 dias antes, antecipado, hein, a versão boladona.
Sultry tones over there.
Já falei isso nos vídeos anteriores.
So yeah, hello folks, we're back. We're going to jump into our race moment now. So we touched on what starting grid was as part of the race replay.
Race moment.
Says that was a voice great.
Acabou de ver o trailer, mas vamos ver agora
I don't know
na
who
prática.
it was, but it sounded great to me. So we touched on what starting grid was. So let's cover what a race moment is and what that means for the players.
Yeah, so it's the other race replay we have. So the race moments take place in the middle of a Grand Prix. So you'll be jumping in, say, 20 laps in. It varies from the race moments. And they put you as a specific team as well. So in the starting grid, you can pick any team. The race moment, you'll be set as a team with a specific target of either a set amount of points, a set position, either for the team or for one of your drivers. So they're really kind of like curated challenges.
Vou pôr um exemplo, Alonso ganhou segundo em alguma corrida em 2023. Se quer que ele ganhe a corrida, ou chegar em quarto, pode melhorar ou piorar a posição que ele chegou em cada corrida.
Okay, yeah, so we're going to jump into one here. I chose the Melbourne Grand Prix, another fairly hectic, as that voiceover said, after a hectic 29 laps at Albert Park. I can recreate that so well as well, amazing. After a hectic 29 laps at Albert Park, can I get Oscar Piastri a points finish at his home race? The objective is to get over 1 point. Now, Piastri finished 8th in the real race, so all we're asking for is to get 8 points. Again, do I do it or not? We'll find out. But this was a really interesting one. Again, you know, we're stuck behind Yuki Tsunoda. And our goal is to effectively get there and get into the points before these tyres run out and try and avoid taking as many pit stops as possible. Whether I do that or not, I will leave up to the chat to decide because I'm not sure. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. We'll find out. Here we go. We're going to go through
to begin.
Yeah, you can tell exactly what I'm going to do here. Wait for it. I'm going to cycle into visor mode. Let's go.
tempo ali, ó. Tem tempo rolando.
I enjoyed the fact you cycled that way instead of just going
I know.
Just one to the left.
Do you know what? I do it with the time speed as well, because I always click through 2 times, 4 times, 8 times, 16 times, rather than going to the left and just going straight to 16 times. I do it every time. I've been doing this for 2 years, and I still do that. I'm sure other people in the chat also click through every single speed option rather than going to the left. Right? Right, chat? Please?
Agora o único que eu tô querendo saber é se vai ter acessibilidade.
Race results being visible on a weekend. That is something, again, that we had feedback on for 2022. We only had the drivers as like a roster in 22. So a little bit of growth there was that we decided that F2 and F3 championships should be simulated, right?
Yeah. So we simulate all of the races for them now, all of the sessions. Sorry, I shouldn't say
Toda a sessão da Fórmula 2 vai ser simulada
in the background while you're
no
doing
jogo
your
da Fórmula 1
races
e
at
3.
appropriate weekend, because they don't do every Grand Prix. And then after the weekend you'll get a summary email of the results of any Formula 2 or Formula 3 races, who was on the podium, how people did. Or you can also jump in to view the standings, so you can see the championship positions, and also you can go through, as I say, the session result as you would for your own races. So for practice, for qualifying, the sprint race and the feature race, so it's all there. You can see what happens, and like we simulate it. So some people might crash. It's got all that kind of excitement that you'd get from the normal Formula 2 races, and it's really cool because it gives you, as you say, we had the drivers last year anyway, but now there's some context, I think, to their results. So you can look at that and you can kind of track that and see, like, I don't know, Teo Porchera, whoever it is. I've seen him win a few races now, or maybe I'll scout him. Maybe I'll consider signing him for my team next season. So it's really nice to be able to track that stuff properly in the game, and we have some other special emails around the end of the championship as well, just to highlight those so you'll see who the champion is and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think what I really like about that is it kind of adds to the narrative of the game. So like you say, being able to follow a driver through F2 and like, oh yeah, they are doing really well, I'm going to scout them, see if they're keen for a contract or something like that. I think that's really, really cool. So yeah, that again, something that was a big sort of feedback point, and I'm really glad to see that in there. And the drivers will develop based on those results, right? So how they perform in the F2 and F3 championships kind of leads into their development, right?
Yeah, so same
piloto,
obviously having good results.
ele vai melhorando os status dele.
And also
Então você vai podendo monitorear na Fórmula 2 como ele vai ficando, agora depois se vai trazendo para a Fórmula 1, sim ou não.
Formula 2 sprint race takes place at a similar time. The simulation would have been wet, so drivers with good adaptability, you might see them do better in that. If a track's very cornering focused or braking focused, depending on the attributes that are important, that is reflected in the F2 and F3 sims as well. So you can get a bit of a taste for maybe where that driver's good as well before you scout them properly to consider hiring them. So yeah, there's a lot of information you can take from it.
Awesome. And this is me again. I really struggled here. I found this quite difficult. I'm picking. Oh, there was immediately an accident as well. So here's my opportunity, right? So this is it. I have been handed on a silver platter the opportunity to get into the points. There's a safety car. I have the ability to change my tyres, and then I look at them, and they're worn because again, this is based on the thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So obviously, up to the start of the race, you've started on the tyre that Piastri is on. You've used the tyres he'd used, and throughout the weekend as well. So even down to like the things like the tyres that have been returned, those are the actual tyres that McLaren returned for this race up to the point you started at. So yeah, it's quite an unfortunately timed safety car for you, right? Like really going onto a medium here, I guess, would be the best. But yeah, he doesn't have any left. McLaren they had returned them in real life. So yeah, you're having to react to the situations exactly how the team would have done, if there had been a safety car at this point in the race. Or,
that touches on a really crucial point, and I think, Steve, you put this really nicely when we talked about this earlier. So we're recreating the race moment by replicating the conditions exactly as they were up to that point.
Yeah.
But from then on, you're trying to do better than what happened in that case. But so is every other driver, and from that perspective, it's anyone's game. Any event that could happen, really could happen. You're sort of off the rails at that stage onwards, right?
Yeah, I think like you were describing, it's like the butterfly effect, right? Like if you're telling your driver to be aggressive and they hit someone, right? Maybe they didn't in the race, but that can happen. And the same with obviously the AI and the other drivers as well. So yeah, exactly as you say, we're giving you this as close to as we can to reality starting point for you to then go and kind of play out the challenge.
Tentando levar
so stuff like the
a
weather,
realidade mais próximo possível.
We are setting those, those are set correctly, even down to the track temperatures and the air temperatures. at the time of the
tracks,
start
a
of the
temperatura.
race moment or the race if it's a starting grid.
Sure. So yeah, events like crashes, safety cars coming out, effectively will change each time you redo one of these moments.
Tudo.
Yeah.
Bandeira vermelha.
Like in real life, there's going to be a little bit of skill, but also maybe a little bit of luck involved each time you play.
Yeah.
See, I was confident here, and then both Bottas and Zhou also pitted under the safety car, and I thought I was going to capitalise and not have any scary drivers behind me. But Bottas is a terrifying driver to have behind you on a new set of tyres. So just about everyone catches up with the safety car there. Poor Nick de Vries doesn't get the opportunity, but we come back to the green flag racing with quite a strong opportunity, but also. The tyres aren't great. They could be better. Look at this. I'm sorry. I had to keep doing it because I just love it. It's just great. It's great. I think that me changing the camera there so quickly was I've got to stop doing this because I just can't sit in this entire video in the cam mode. But we were talking about driver development a little bit there. And whilst we go through, and again we're looking at the driver confidence, we talked about how the F2 and F3 drivers will gain or lose performance based on how they gain or lose stats based on how they perform in their championships. Can we touch on the driver development for F1 drivers in the game? Because that's again another area that last year we had a lot of feedback on from the community. Something we really wanted to look at for this year. Can we talk about that and also how it goes into them potentially getting older and stuff like that?
Yeah. So as you mentioned, one of the key pieces of feedback was the driver development. It was very sort of, I don't know what the right word is, it kept going up and up, right? You just gain points and you put them into the relevant skill areas and watch your driver improve over time, and as they got older they kept improving, kept adding points. So now it's a lot more natural how they develop over time. So what will happen is if your driver is
Comparado com o jogo anterior, agora é mais natural.
Well, they will gain experience, and rather than just clicking on the button and watching the points go up, you will actually set areas that you want them to focus on for training. So, that might be you want them to focus on overtakes or something. There's various options available. But the idea is that if they perform well, you will improve in one of those attributes in that area. So there are attributes that you will still see, and you can still see all the points and things. I know everyone loves reading the points for the drivers, and obviously people agree or disagree on the ratings. And you'll see those ratings change based on the development areas you've set. But alongside that, you will also need to make sure that driver has consistent experience in a race to continue improving. And this will also factor into their age. So as the drivers get older, you will need to keep pushing them more and more, and they need to keep getting those consistent
Quanto mais velho o piloto é,
continue improving.
você vai ter que ser mais insistente ainda com ele.
And isn't spending time in the seat for whatever reason, then they have the chance to actually regress in terms of their overall skill points.
Yeah.
So they can, if you just leave them to sort of, I don't want to say rot because that's a really terrible term, but if you don't give them the time in the seat, or if they constantly perform badly, then there is a chance they will start to see their rating drop.
Look, I'll come out and say it. Look, once they've peaked, it's time to maybe start looking at F2 and F3 drivers then who are going to learn more quickly.
Brutal.
And give them the experience.
That's the kind of team principal you are then, Bruce. That's it, straight out the door. One bad race and you're gone, that's it. A couple of people in chat noticed there that I gave team orders to Norris. This was really brutal. This is me being a brutal team principal. So I need Oscar Piastri. To win this objective, I need Oscar Piastri in the points. I don't need Norris in the points. So my entire logic for this was just to jump straight into the fact that I could just dive in and immediately get Piastri his points. So Norris, forget about it. Don't fight teammate. I don't care where you finish. He's not happy. He lost his confidence because he got overtaken. So he's going to have a terrible race. But I got Piastri into the points, at least right now. That was my main thing. So that was my strategy, was just to be completely brutal.
It's a valid strategy in a way, right?
I know. And look, Taylor was saying, but Norris, I know. I love Norris as much as the next person. It's all about the objective. The objective of the race moment is to win the race moment. I'm not here to win a career. I'm not here to win a career with Norris. I just needed to win this objective. So, yeah.
Só tô querendo ganhar os
objetivos. He had a slow stop. Yeah.
Mais nada. Não quero ganhar
fuming. Norris is going to be absolutely fuming with me for this. But luckily, he's a team player, so he's all right.
But what you've just touched on, I think, cuts to the heart of what this mode offers, which is the ability to focus on a singular instance of a race or a moment in a race. You're not worrying about the longer-term campaign. Maybe you've got a separate campaign going, but you just want a one-off session, see if you can beat the real outcome and just enjoy the game that way. And it allows you to play differently than you would otherwise, where you have to consider, say, the longer-term season or things like that.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that's what I like about it. I like that I can then, you know, I can have my narrative with my career and that, and then I can jump into this, especially as it updates every weekend and go, yeah, do you know what, actually, I'm going to jump in and see what the race moment is for this race and see if I can beat it. And hopefully I'll do better than I did with this one. We've still got PS3 in the points right now. There was a safety car. That's ending again. This was a hectic race in real life. My version of this race started hectic and just kind of carries on being hectic. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, we've a few more things to talk about as well. We've got a few other little bits to go through whilst we watch this footage. I can't remember. No, I can't pit him because I've got these tyres. I just have to salvage these tyres for as long as possible. Whether I actually managed it or not is a different matter, and we'll see. But some other little bits to talk about whilst we're here. Something that again, a little bit of an additional thing. More team radio. Jumping into that a little bit.
Yeah, so I just want to address one thing very quickly that people are saying there's a lot of safety cars. Please keep in mind that this is work in progress and there's obviously lots of ongoing things like that. And all the work in progress que estão mostrando aí. Please do keep that in mind, just because there are an awful lot of safety cars in this race, and a few eagle-eyed people will also notice issues with the things like camera placement and stuff like that on the cars. Just please do keep in mind it's a work in progress.
Yes, we are still a little bit away from it.
Just because I know there's been so much really cool stuff that's changed, like things that have been fixed recently as well. That I'm obviously well aware of. So quickly.
But
looking back to team radio, so this is one of the things that was obviously a big feature for 22 that people were in some cases quite surprised by, right? Because team radio is one of these things where it occurs in real life, and obviously it's a big part of the race experience. And we had a lot of team radio in F1 Manager 22 from the real world, whether that's drivers or engineers. In 23, there's even more of it, but there's also a little bit more context to it. So there's, I don't know if you'll have seen it in these videos quite well, you'll see communications between you and your race engineer about the drivers in front of you. By name.
I think that literally happens. It may have already happened, or it's about to happen. Where and the engineer says you've got Magnussen ahead of you. I think, which I think he says you've got Magnussen ahead of you. Which I was like, whoa, okay, yeah, cool, I do, that's right. And in fact, we've just seen there as well my ERS battle assist, which is another new part of the game, right? Can we just go into a little bit about what ERS battle assist is and what that means?
So it's a new way to use the ERS. Slightly different from last year where we had the overtake and defend modes. This kind of so we've kind of replaced them with the battle assist now. It almost lets you use them kind of in combo with any of the other modes we had. So deploy and harvest.
Batalha de defesa.
So you still have your modes and then the battle assist on top of that effectively gets the driver to kind of reserve some of that energy they have for the lap that you've kind of allotted them to use for areas where they might be battling, whether they're overtaking or defending another driver. So they'll be slightly slower because they're not using it for the optimal lap time, but they'll be, in theory, they'll be better at overtaking and defending with that on. And as I say, we had similar things with that with overtake and defend in the previous game, but we've now made it into its own option, the battle assist, that you can toggle on or off, so you can use it in tandem with any of the other LRS modes you have. So you can still be harvesting energy if you need to harvest energy because you're low, but tell them, use the little energy you are allowed to use it to try and defend this position or attack. We've also added a new ERS mode as well, the top-up mode, which sits between harvest and neutral. Now you have a middle ground there where you'll save a bit every lap, so you'll slowly kind of tick up, but you won't be as slow as harvest because you're still using more energy. So there's it's a nice middle ground there. It makes, for me, I find it makes me want to use the ERS more because I'm less scared of using the deploy one and then having to harvest because I can use that top up as well in the middle. There's just more options I think now as a player.
Yeah, it's something that I found very handy on this race moment particularly because I was desperate to hold the position. Bottas behind, even Zhou not that far behind as well. Having two Alfa Romeos behind me was absolutely terrifying. I sat on this rear wing camera for a while, and this is what I really like actually. I think I even switched to. I switched to one of the cars that's chasing me for a little bit as well at some point. I think it might be a little bit later. But yeah, it's something that is I'm always paranoid of is the interval behind me and trying to keep away. So having that battle assist, another option, like you say, just to kind of make sure that you're keeping a little bit of energy there. ERS so important for this kind of thing. So yeah.
Is it a feature or is that a toggleable option?
As it's always available to the player, and yeah, the player can toggle on or off whether the driver's using the battle assist.
Sure.
They're smart as well, so if you've kind of got it toggled on but there's no cars near them, so they're like 10 seconds away from anyone, they'll still deploy it for lap time because obviously there's no point in conserving it on this lap. But yeah, so yeah, it's up to the player to toggle that on when they think it's applicable, and it defaults to off.
Well, it's a really smart feature in that way then. Yeah.
Nice. More future.
Yeah, so we've got 13 laps left. I've managed to do it. I have sacrificed Norris. I've absolutely ruined Norris's entire weekend for this. He's going to be saying that he just wants his taxi straight to the airport, I think, at this rate. But we'll see how he does. I don't know. I think
you've thrown him to the wolves.
I think I throw these tyres to the wolves as well. Unfortunately,
there's a long way to go.
There's a long way to go on soft tyres that have only got 44% left on them.
Predictions in the chat now, please, for final position.
Yeah, go on, chat. What do you reckon? Do you reckon? Give me a position. I want to see P and then the number based on what you think I'm actually going to get. P9, P10, P11, P12, etc. P2 says Mr. Prime. Yeah, okay, we'll see. PDNF. That's not a real position. Get out of here. P20, brutal. Well, there's already 5 drivers out, so P20 would be a difficult one. We'll see. But yeah, there we go. Look, always defend. Please defend. Please defend Piastri. You've got like 3 cars right behind you. Please make that car as wide as possible. Oh gosh, this was
I think this comes back to some of we were talking about difficulty earlier as well. Though obviously, they're not just trying to beat you, right? They're trying to beat each other too. So if you can hold cars, get them fighting each other as well as you, that can potentially help out. Or maybe not in this case, because it's going to get past you. And the same with the tyre temperatures as well. Like, if the other teams are struggling for tyre wear or their tyres are overheating, they're going to have to conserve as well. And by holding a car behind you, again, as we said earlier, with you were struggling with the dirty air, they're going to struggle with it too. You can kind of hold them in that zone. So, which again, they're all kind of things that teams take into account in real life as well. So, yeah, there's more depth there now, I think, from the combination of the more difficult stuff.
Yeah, I found this, to be a real challenge. You can see that, I started 11th, I think, and I've battled up to 9th, back to 10th.
Piastri's not really feeling it though.
He's not. No, he's not feeling it. He is struggling. Like I said, that tyre wear is going to be playing a real factor here. And yeah, I would have loved to have had Norris stay directly behind because that would have been really good for just holding back other drivers. Sure. But yeah, this was tricky. This was really, really tricky. I didn't manage the tyres very well at all, and this is good. This is a good way for you to kind of jump in and kind of learn a lot of these things as well, because it's a quick scenario to jump into, right?
And you can just retry it as well.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. There is a restart button.
You can do it from the pause menu.
Yeah.
You can retry. So you can try different things and see kind of what works. And obviously, like, it's the same kind of data from the tyres and things like that, as it will be in your career, right? So you can also kind of feel out how long does the hard last at Australia, for example, and things like that as well, so that you can take learnings from it too.
That's a really cool application. You've got a super important race coming up in your main campaign season. Yeah, you do want to get a bit of practice in on a particular circuit.
Yeah, I think that's a nice segue into something I want to talk about in a second, actually. So let's where we are. I appreciate that we're on the Twitch front page right now. So if you're just joining us, we are chatting over my potentially shambolic gameplay of F1 Manager 2023 whilst I fail to keep Piastri in the points. You can pre-order F1 Manager 23 from yesterday. The game will be launching digitally on July 31st. It will be available. If you pre-order, you're going to get 3 of these extra race replay scenarios. The base edition is going to be $44.99, $54.99 and €54.99, and the digital deluxe edition will be £54.99, $64.99 and €64.99, and that digital deluxe edition is going to get you 4 days early access as well as 12 extra exclusive scenarios for race replay. Again, look at these tyres. It's not going well, especially on the left.
Yeah. How are you feeling at this point in the race?
Sweaty, I would say, is the word of how I'm feeling at this point. I've lost the position. I've failed my objective so far with 8 laps to go. Yeah, it's not looking good. My Norris plan of burying him to try and save me. I mean, it might stop me getting 14th and 15th, and now there's yellow flags. Does this become a safety car? Does it? I can't remember if this becomes a safety car. I don't. Did it? We're going to find. No, we didn't. Okay. Yeah, it's a scary one. This is tough. You know, I would have. I can imagine this puts me in the scenario of being Oscar Piastri battling for that point, and makes me feel quite sorry for him for having to sit through my team management.
It's interesting to call out as well. There's some extra risk this year with the tyres again. In the kind of area you're in now, where you've got that kind of yellow warning there.
Yes.
They're into quite a high level of wear. Now you can actually get punctures when you're in that kind of zone, so your tyres are heavily worn, as we see in real life. From hitting kind of the riskier curbs, like the high curbs, stuff like we see in real life, yeah, if you've already got a worn tyre and you hit some of those, it can immediately puncture effectively, dropping you down to zero and forcing you to pit in that case. Manage your tyres to avoid that happening, getting into that kind of area. But also avoid curbs plan, which was in the game last year as well. Because it's those curbs that kind of trigger the punctures. If you're avoiding the curbs, you can use that to risk as well. So, yeah, so there's another potential risk here for Piastri because his tyres are so worn that they might actually just go bang.
As you can see, he literally just says, "I can't look after them anymore. They're dead."
And they're underheating as well now.
Yeah, it's we're not having a good time with the temperatures. I am trying to conserve them. 5 laps short, and I'm already on 18% wear. And like you said, there is now a risk of puncture at any point.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I kind of went into preservation mode at this point. This was very much I don't think this has worked out for me. I'm really interested to see if people in chat, I want actually messages on Discord when you play this race moment. I want to see how you do. And this is something I think I'm going to keep up with you throughout this game. I want to find out. I'm going to be playing all of these. And we're going to be showing more of this on stream as we come throughout the game. So I want to see how you guys do on these race moments compared to me, because I thought I was pretty good at the last game and I didn't do very well at this, and I'm very interested to see how you guys do.
Well, if you are watching this and you do think you can do better than Steve, you can join us over on Discord, where he'll be sharing each race replay as they come in live. We mentioned earlier, in case you missed it, race replay is this new mode where you have both starting grids and race moments like you're looking at now, and they'll be added with each race as they happen in the live season, and as Steve has mentioned, he'll be taking part. So yes, go join us on the Discord. Where can they do that?
Yes, and we have a Discord link in the chat just now by the looks of it. There you go. Yeah, come and join our Discord community. I mean, sometimes I'm in there on a race weekend as well, just having a little chat with people whilst we watch the races. So yeah, come in, and then when these come out, I'll be really interested. We've got a community screenshot channel, a community clips channel as well, so you can jump in there and prove to me that you're better than me at this game. Because I think this race moment thing will be a really cool feature for just community engagement with you guys and just seeing how you guys get on with the specific challenges. And yeah, I think that's going to be quite exciting to see. There we are, last lap. It's done. I'll be honest with you guys. It's completely done.
I feel like you're not going to gain.
I don't think I'll be gaining at least 4 places on this this final stint here. It's not gone very well at all. I absolutely mullered Norris's tyres and strategy. Piastri half a lap down shambles. Yeah, it really was. The tyres are genuinely, I think they might as well just actually be rims at this point. There's nothing left. There's no temperature.
Pneus
I'm
do
desperate to
Norris
conserve
e
them.
do
I'm
Piastri
a
já
heavy
era.
car as well. There's more fuel in the car than there ever should be at this point. And yeah, we've had an absolute shambles and done that. So
when you said that, I just had Ian Beale in my head blubbering.
I've got nothing left. I did not do very well here at all. But there we go. That's my attempt at a race moment. And you, I'm sure, will be much better at them than me when it comes to the game coming out on July 31st.
We want to see you do better.
Yes.
Pre-order now.
Pre-order now so that you can prove it. So yeah, you'll get this little round. There we go.
I
skipped through this very quickly, but yeah, it will show you the results there. I was annoyed. I think I just went, you know what, forget it. We didn't at all. But that will be a summary screen where it will show you how you did versus how every driver did versus their real positions. But yeah, that was me not doing very well at at race replay. You can see I got the option to retry there, which will certainly happen in the future. But yeah, I think that covers just about all of our race replay discussion. I'm just going to have a quick look at our list here for other things that we may not have mentioned.
Well, we're going to move on to the sort of final part of the show where we have a couple more minutes just to chat with developer guests.
Yeah.
And yeah. So I did want to ask, and maybe to pull us out of the nitty-gritty, what have been your favourite things about working on this season of the game?
Whew, that's an interesting question. There's lots of really cool stuff on this. So for me, I mean, I've always said, I've said this actually on social media, that somewhere there's a very young version of me, like, just unbelievable, like, it can't I think for me, the coolest thing is just being, seeing the race replays come together. So, especially the
race replays.
É que estou mais gostando and I'm sure Will thought about this as well, because Will's been responsible for a lot of these designs for this and choosing what goes into those moments and seeing them all come together and thinking, you know, if I watch a race now, I'm just thinking, oh, which of these can we use for the race moment? You know, where are we going to pull this in? And I think for me, seeing that feature come together from start to finish has been very cool. Because it's for me, sometimes I don't necessarily have time to jump in and do a full career. And you can do your session, that's great, but sometimes I just want to I'll watch that race at the weekend and I think I can do that. And I'll jump in and try it. In some cases, I don't. You know, I tried to get Alonso to...
What tyres did you go on?
I was very unlucky with that, to be fair. I was on the right tyres, but there was lots of instances. But, you know, just being able to jump on and try that is really, really cool. And for me, seeing that come together is just fantastic. And obviously, as well, the authenticity of seeing the details of the drivers and the cars. I mean, the cars actually, you probably can't tell on stream because obviously you get compression and things, but the materials on the cars have been improved massively this year. We've really stripped those back and reworked the materials, and you can actually really see a difference, especially up close on the menus. You know.
Oh yeah, when you're on that new menu at the start where it cycles through.
So the new menu we saw on this actually has been obviously built upon since this was.
Yeah, since we've shown this.
You see the cars really up close and the drivers, and you just see that material change has made a huge difference to the visuals as well. So yeah, that's a very rambling answer to that, and there's no one particular thing. But
that's great. No, we're very grateful for all the work you've put into it.
Unfortunately, I think stolen Will's thunder there with the race.
Possibly. What's it been like working on F1 and 23 then, Will?
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, kind of the same as Lloyd in that, you know, I've been an F1 fan for a very long time, so yeah, it's always exciting working on this stuff. And yeah, the race replay mode, and especially the moments, I think, coming in as a designer and with working with the other designers and all of the developers to work on that stuff. On the Monday morning after a race, right, everyone's kind of discussing oh, this bit was really cool, or we could do this, looking through those and then trying to recreate that in the game has been really, really fun as a designer. It's really cool, and hopefully the players will enjoy it as well. I feel like when we talk about the mode, especially the race moments, internally, it's kind of because so many people are F1 fans, you're watching the TV, you're watching a race. Monaco's a good example, right? Yeah. When Alonso put those mediums on, everyone's shouting at their TV, why have you done that? And now we're getting a chance to kind of create some of those moments, give you an opportunity to, in our game, see, well, you know, if I did what I think I should have done, what happens? Do I succeed? Do I do better? Do I do worse? So that's been really, really, really cool as a fan and as a developer, I think, doing that stuff. I'm really excited for once the game's out, right, and we kind of see those coming in. Post-launch and the ones that are already there and how people react to those, and seeing what happens in people as well. Because as you say, like we were chatting before this, just like we'd both, I can't remember, it was the Monaco one. We'd both played.
It was the Monaco
we'd
one,
both played that, and we'd had different results because we'd approached it differently. You know, starting from exactly the same point, we'd approached different things and played that because of that. It's really fun to kind of share those stories with other people in the team, and obviously the community as well once the game's actually launched. So yeah.
And also, I just want to jump very quickly, VisorCam.
VisorCam, yeah, VisorCam. So oh my God,
that's
genuinely.
But also, what's a really cool feature that we forgot to talk about is next season signing.
Yes, I just saw that in chat. Yeah, I've got my list here that I want to reel off. I saw you read it in chat. I saw your eyes go, oh yeah, we should talk about that. Yeah, Life's Second Chance, I believe that was in chat. Yes, we do now have, this was again something people have talked about the Discord in chat here, and we do have a game feedback channel in there. One of the things that got the most comments and was the most featured in there was the fact that you know, we could only sign drivers instantly in F1 Manager 22. So yeah, another little feature that I think makes a big difference to the overall story of your career and everything is that you can now sign drivers for either instantly if you want them, if you want to poach them instantly, but you now can sign them for the next season, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, awesome. I'm going to list off, so we're going to wrap up here. We're pretty much at the end of this, but I wanted to list off kind of everything that we've discussed if you've just kind of come in at the end. I know we've shown a lot of race replay footage there, but you know, it's kind of shown off a few of the other little features as well that have been built up into the game. So just to give you a little kind of rundown of everything, I'm just going to reel this off because I've got like half a page and I'm going to reel off here. So F1 Manager 23 is launching digitally from July 31st, sorry. You can pre-order now, and if you do pre-order, then you get the 3 extra race replay versions, and you also get the digital deluxe version. Pre-order that, and you get the 4 days early access as well as 12 exclusive race replay scenarios.
I'm going to pause you there.
Go on.
Can you tell us more about the exclusive scenarios? That
yes. Now this is all from memory because I had a look through these earlier. So there's 12, and of 3 of them, I was really excited by one in particular, this format. So these are all curated, these are all designed exclusively for the Digital Deluxe Edition, right? And I really like that in there is a handful of equal performance race scenarios. So there's a multitude of tracks. I think one of them is Silverstone.
Yeah, we've got Silverstone.
So Silverstone being equal performance, so all the cars are equal performance, which lets you really dial into, you know, the differences between the drivers and all of that kind of stuff. And there's like mixes of grids, you know, in those as well, so it's not all set grids, right?
Yeah, we've got one of them, there's some rain in it and stuff like that as well. So we kind of throw everything at the drivers, and as you say, the cars are equal, the drivers are not.
Rain in Bahrain.
That's another
rain
one.
in Bahrain. Yeah, that's really cool. There's going to be some really cool little things in there. So yeah, we'll like I said, there's 12 of those. The equal performance one I think is really cool. Rain in Bahrain. There's one where Carlos Sainz isn't available for Monza, so you have to get Antonio Giovinazzi on a podium. All of these kind of little challenges that will be part of the Digital Deluxe Edition, which I think is really cool. But yeah, just a summary of the little bits that we've kind of covered there. Race replay, sprint events. We've got the sprint events in the game for 2023. Improved racing simulation, enhanced racing AI. There's a sporting director with pit crew training, with a little bit of a deeper version of that pit crew training now, where you can go and manage all the monthly details there. A different driver development, where we've got focuses on actual attributes rather than putting points into specific attributes. Driver regression if they get if they're not doing very well.
Natural feel to the development.
Exactly.
Sometimes deterioration of.
Maybe they're a little bit. You know, definitely not for Lando Alonso. He's going to just continue to improve forever. But everybody else might get a little bit worse as they get older. Simulated Formula 2 and Formula 3 championships across sessions is where we break down driver improvements or regressions based on their performance. More team radio across the board. The new Vegas Strip circuit will be in the game as well. I'm such a shallow man, but VisorCam is my favourite feature, I'm afraid.
I couldn't tell by the way you flicked immediately to the VisorCam in the game.
It's one of those things. Signing drivers for next season, mid-session saves, keyboard and mouse support for console. I think that's just about everything we've covered at this point. Qatar, yes, Qatar in the game.
If you are joining us towards the end, we would encourage you to watch the VOD back because we do talk about all of these features as we're watching the race moments, gameplay. So if you would like to hear more about them, do watch back. And for all the people that are listening to this on YouTube, you know that we have just put this on YouTube. So yes, this will also be on YouTube as a VOD as well for you to catch up on.
Yeah, I think that's just about it. I think we can wrap up there. Thank you very much for all of you for joining us. Thank you for coming along for our. It's my first stream in a while. My first stream with you.
Lembrando que
been all right.
Vou trazendo em breve mais informações e mais detalhes.
Thank you very much to our esteemed dev guests. Adam behind the screens doing the ones and twos, and thank you very much to all of our mods as well. And thank you to everyone in chat for hanging out with us. We will see you very soon. Pre-order F1 Manager. July 31st. See you then. Bye-bye.
Então, não teve muitas coisas que eles falaram
A sprint victory and
do
points up for
evento deles
grabs
de hoje,
right here.
mas eu achei legal explicar um pouco sobre o modo novo que vai ter.
Can they push
Que é
more,
Race
I wonder?
Place.
They can't afford to sit back
Você
and
pode
relax now.
escolher qualquer piloto e mudar o resultado dele da corrida real. É legal, hein?
Are we in trouble or not?
Galera, estamos ficando
Chance to
por
see
aqui.
just what Charles
Eu tenho
Leclerc
gostado
could achieve here. Oh, and that's a crash.
dessa mini tradução. E lembrando, botar legenda aqui nos vídeos
Push and hold, overtake.
para vocês. Lembrando, siga
And push
o
on,
Fórmula 1
push
Manager em
And
todas as redes
McLaren with
sociais.
a great overtake.
Para mais informações, eu vou estar trazendo para vocês o próximo
A
vídeo de informações
fantastic
em
result for
breve.
McLaren there. Stay
Abraço
right
para todo
here,
mundo, abraço para todo mundo
because
ficando
we're
por aqui.
just getting started.
Valeu, falou e eu fui!
Desktop, OBS 29.1.2 perfil, Untitled C, Interromper Transmisseo.